The Toronto Raptors have won 5 straight games for the first time since 2023. They have also managed to finish a month, regardless of how the next game against Chicago goes, above 500 for the first time since 2023. And I think that it's worth noting that most people don't care. Most people aren't paying attention to how hard this team is playing. They're not talking about the fact that the Raptors are the number one defense in the league over the last 8 games, and it probably only got better after this game, which was basically a shutout. 14 nothing to start the game out is very professional. It's so tempting when you've won 4 or 5 straight, when you've won 5 of the last 6, to really just come out and, or 6 of the last 7, really, in the case of the Raptors, to come out, see the Wizards, and be like, nah, this is an easy game. We're going to party the night before. We're going to enjoy our success. Nope, not the Raptors. You really do take on the personality of your best player. And I think that, your personality of your coach, you take the personality of your leaders. And it's very clear that Darko Rajakovic had this team ready to play today. You don't play the record. And I think that there's a lot of leaders in this locker room, from Darko to Scottie. It's not one person. Davion, I'm sure, is a bit of a leader. Jamal Shed, in his own way, as a rookie, is a leader. Garrett Temple. There's a lot of leaders in this locker room. I wonder if Bruce Brown is emerging as one as well. So a lot of mixed performances tonight for the Raptors, but you cannot deny the result. The result is the Raptors blow out the Wizards 106 to 82. Let's take a look. I mean, 7 of 8 is impressive, regardless of how you slice it. And this game was probably a little bit more entertaining than it needed to be. There was a little chippiness, right? There was no doubt about what the final result would be. It was just, are you going to beat them by 40? You're going to beat them by 50? You're going to beat them by 20? You're going to beat them by 30? It really wasn't that close ever. There was no moment where it felt like, okay, the Wizards have a chance. They're really trying. No, the Wizards have mailed it in. This is an abysmal team. They are an embarrassment to basketball. All right. Scottie Barnes had 24 points and some very old school stuff that we're going to look at in the post game, the film breakdown. I just thought that his game is just rounding into form, and he is just doing all sorts of really cool stuff with the basketball. I think the fadeaway on the baseline was very interesting. The turnaround on Kyle Kuzma. Scotty really is turning into also one of the most annoying defenders in the league. I think Jakob Pertl last year described him as a very annoying defender. He is very annoying. He is extremely pesky, and it's great. Every single starter was plus crazy amounts, right? RJ Barrett plus 33, Davion Mitchell plus 24. When's the last time you saw this? Like, I really don't recall seeing all 5 starters in double digit plus minus in a very long time. This was a very impressive team win, right? Scotty didn't have to play a lot. He played 29 minutes. 29 minutes. He got to the line 3 times. Overall, very competitive effort. And he had some really good stretches defensively as well. Jakob Pertl finishes with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, playing a little bit of point center with a couple of alley oops to Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes, his game was very mixed today, right? Like, and I don't mean mixed in a bad way. I mean mixed in a great way. Like, he contributed everywhere. He was off the ball, on the ball, at the elbow, taking a three. He continues to miss threes. He's 1 for 4 from three. It's worth noting. Davion Mitchell did not miss a three tonight. He went 2 for 2. And he also had this brush drive. He also had 5 turnovers, and some of them are crazy, and we have to look at some of them. But yeah, overall, this team is just too good for the Wizards. Chris Boucher, who's been on a heater, only took 2 shots, had 3 points. So not the greatest Chris Boucher game, especially relative to what we've come to expect of him. But Bruce Brown, Orlando Robinson, and Jamal Shed with 30 points, 10 apiece off the bench. It's almost like they all had an identical game. I thought Orlando Robinson flashed a lot of stuff. Even the threes that he missed, okay, yeah, he went 0 for 2. I thought they were in and out, pretty much in and out. He had a really complete game, right? 10 points, 6 rebounds. He really got on the glass in 21 minutes. I think Orlando Robinson is here to stay. I really like his game. From the Wizard side, Keyshawn George. Nice. Canadian kid, or at least partially Canadian. Anyways, his dad played for the national team. He had 10 points. Kyle Kuzma, unbelievable 19 points, including a thunderous jam and a very wow moment where he, we'll take a look at that play, but he's behind the backboard and somehow still made it Larry Bird style. Jonas Valanciunas really just bruising, but kind of just doing his time. Everybody in the Wizards just feels like they're in prison right now, and they're just trying to get their way off this team. Bilal Coulibaly is one of my favorite young players in the league. He did not look like it tonight. He was the team worst, -30, and he just did not have the type of defensive impact I know he's capable of. I really, really hope this team does not get Cooper flagged. Not for any selfish reason, just because I don't want another young player that I really respect ending up on a team that's so bad. Anyways, off the bench, you had Corey Kispert and a familiar face. I think Corey Kispert also had a really big jam. You had a familiar face, Justin Champagnie. And you know what's funny? Justin Champagnie was the only player really that stuck out as a positive for the Wizards. And I was a very big fan of Justin when he was here. So yeah, I'm happy for him, but I'm also kind of sad that there's two ex-Raptors that I really like on this team. Maybe someone should rescue them, right? Because they're definitely not losing players. Justin is not a losing player. Jonas is not a losing player, and it just sucks to see winning players on losing teams. Jordan Poole had 3 points, and I believe that's a season low for him. He's prone to go off for these cold shooting nights every now and again, but man, the Raptors did a great job on him. The Raptors went 42 for 88 from the field, and the Wizards 28 for 72. For most of the game prior to garbage time, I believe they had 24 prior to garbage time, 24 field goals made. I mean, that's got to be up there. I would love to look at a record for that. I mean, were it not for the Raptors fouling like crazy, putting them at the line, and then being gifted a lot of free throws, 29 free throws, I think it's possible that the Raptors basically blew them out by 50 and maybe held them to 65 or 66 points. I mean, this is really a team that is coming together defensively, and we can definitely we can definitely look at how they're doing it. But I don't know if it's sustainable, not at this level when you face against when you face up against better teams, all this pressure kind of backfires. But I do think that the Raptors compete level defensively has been unbelievable, unbelievable, and, you know, they were at one point the 28th, 29th ranked defense. Right now, they really are playing like a top 10 defense, and it's very encouraging to see. Maybe it's something that factors into Masai Ujiri's thought process going into the trade deadline. The Raptors dominate the paint 54 to 40, right? They dominate the turnover battle, really forced a lot of turnovers, but I think the Wizards had a lot of unforced turnovers as well. The Raptors get 12 steals. I mean, the 31 assists and 17 assists really do paint the picture on how these two teams play basketball, right? The Wizards is a lot of one-on-one. It's my turn, your turn basketball. It's just not fun basketball. And I don't know. I found myself watching this game, and I gotta say, I was sort of hate watching it. I hate the fact that teams like the Wizards exist. I hate it for young players. I hate it for some of my favorite young players. Like I like Bob Carrington. To hear that stat on the broadcast about him being minus 500 or whatever the hell it is, it's like, man, that's really destroying the confidence of a young player. Anyways, let's take a look at the film session. I'll apologize. I have a bit of a sore throat here, but I'm going to try to do my best here. Apologies, apologies, apologies. Okay. Yo, I had to slow this down for a second because I don't know if my eyes were bugging, but it really didn't feel like Scotty passed this basketball. And this was the first play. Like, he literally gets it, and it was, like, within a second, it's gone, and the Wizards were even like, "Did he pass it?" There was no motion. He passed it only with his fingers. I just thought that was a really underrated pass, to start out. The Raptors, aforementioned, 14-0. 14-0. Unbelievable. This fast break was a thing of beauty, really. It starts with Jakob Poeltl making the right pass. Now, what's not beautiful here is the spacing. Davion Mitchell needs to fan out to the wing here. But what is cool is the Raptors routine have terrible spacing on this, and yet somehow they are still able to finish for 2 points. I thought that was pretty impressive. This is the aforementioned Larry Bird shot by Kyle Kuzma. I just thought this was nuts, man. He's off balance. He's getting guarded by Davion Mitchell there. And Davion just sort of he's trying to bait a foul. Did he travel there? I don't know. But before going out of bounds, he sends it in, and I just felt like, wow, okay, that's gonna be one of those nights for Kyle Kuzma. And I think Scotty has such a pretty game. Like I know it's like really clunky at times, and he can have these moments where his footing is a little off, the finish is a little bit weird. But moments like this really tell you this is the reality when he puts it together. I don't think Kyle Kuzma is a good defender, but I don't think this was bad defense. I just think this is better offense. What are you supposed to do? what the hell are you supposed to do when, like, I mean, no one's bothering this. Chris Boucher, nice to see his hand up there. But yeah, Scotty's gonna make that and he just puts it in. Okay. Now we got to talk about some bad here, man, because Davion Mitchell has some crazy turnovers. There was like a couple that I wasn't going to clip, and I was like, you know what? Let's keep it positive. But this one is just like, what are we doing here, man? Like, just spins, loses the basketball. You're going to see so many mistakes on this play. And again, 28-44, the Raptors could have probably been up 16-44. Okay. It sounds crazy that I'm kind of complaining about not being up by more when you're up by 16 in the second quarter, but it really felt like the Raptors let their foot off the gas in the second quarter. And it sort of allowed a window for the Wizards to start playing a little bit better, more confident. And you just never know. Jordan Poole gets going, his three starts falling, guys start shooting well, and you just now you're in a game and now you have to actually work hard to beat the Wizards. It just showed a lack of discipline and a little bit of complacency. And it was like 2 minutes of back to back to back to back plays defensively and offensively by RJ Barrett and Davion Mitchell. And it wasn't good, right? You're putting you're putting some questionable decision makers on the court together. I thought Bruce Brown's decision making was horrible at times as well in this game. Again, I understand that the coverage on this game is going to be 100% positive from everybody but me. But am I the only person who just noticed so many mistakes during this game? And here's another several mistakes. Okay. Now, Chris Boucher going for the gamble here. Why? This gives Kyle Kuzma the wide open. And RJ Barrett is going to actually make this an and one if the refs actually saw this or called it. This is such a lazy and crazy foul to try and shove Bilal Koulibaly into, like, I mean, watch that again. So you compound one mistake, right? Now you create two mistakes by reaching. You're the back line of the defense, bro. If you don't get back, nobody's back. So you're just giving up an open layup on the off chance that you might get a deflection. That's really bad calculus. And here, RJ Barrett could have made this 2 points into 3 points. I thought this play really highlighted the immaturity of this team sometimes. So, of course, like a demon, Scottie Barnes did come into the game and immediately turned it around. Now, Scottie was in foul trouble for most of the night. That's also part of why he played 29 minutes. I think he missed part of his regular rotation in the second quarter as he picked up his third foul. But look at this defense. Now, just prior to this, Scottie had a really funny play where he was sort of headbutting Kyle Kuzma, and Kyle Kuzma got really upset with him, kind of shoved him. Scottie picks up a foul there. Scottie goes right back at him. And here, that frustration, it gets into Kyle Kuzma. Now, Recruiter Dude the other day, when we were still able to do lives, I'll apologize in advance to anyone who's tuning in right now and be like, why isn't this video live? We're having some YouTube issues with a copyright strike. So hopefully lives will be back really soon, but I hope you'll bear with the videos for now. And we're gonna live premiere this or premiere it so that I'll be in the chat with you guys and be able to sort of talk this one through with you. But nevertheless, you have this really Recruiter Dude was talking about how Scottie was like in Zion's face. He was in his way. He was disrupting Zion. And I feel like that's pretty much what Scottie's been doing like for 2 years now. He's just getting way better at it and way more consistent with it. I didn't see like last year when he did that this when he held Steph Curry to one of the worst games of his life, you could feel like Steph Curry didn't want to do anything with the basketball at some point. He was just like, screw it. It's just not worth it, man. Y'all lose this game without me. And to to do that is so underrated. Part of defense is throwing offense off rhythm. And when you get into people's heads, like, that's what Michael Jordan used to talk about the game within the game. He used to talk about that a lot. He'd be like, "I think I know how to play the game. I don't think they know how to play the game when I'm talking to them." And Scotty just gets it, man. I don't know. It's like sometimes like certain players they get it. Luca gets it. I want to tell you that. Luca gets it. Like he has a pulse on every player he's up against. He's gonna talk smack to you. He's gonna get in your grill a little bit. He's gonna hit that fancy shot. He's gonna smile in your face, and you're gonna get mad. And you're gonna get mad. And you're gonna fall off your game, and you're gonna completely destroy your team. Here, Scotty follows up a little bit of defense with a little bit of offense. Again, Kyle Kuzma, one of the few NBA players who really came to Scotty's defense when Scotty was facing all those allegations of not trying hard, not having, having work ethic issues and all that stuff. So, no love lost here. But I mean, they went at it and it was good. Like, I mean, look, for the fans in attendance, this is not a fun game. These are not two good teams, but you got something fun. You got a whole bunch of dunks. You got the Rashawn Holmes. You got the Corey Kispert dunk. You got a little bit of Scottie Barnes mid range action. I think the fans got a pretty decent product for $6 or whatever the hell the Wizards tickets cost. Yo, this is one of the most underrated, crazy plays in Raptors history. I need to understand how you make this pass so off target. I'm going to slow this down for you so you can see what I'm talking about because this is like next level off target. Yo, I mean, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Now, there was a there was a post by Ball Talk Zero that said no one in the NBA can do this, and it was a whole bunch of clips of Kobe Bryant going nuts. Yo, respectfully, I watched Kobe do this for like 18 years, man. So looks great to me. Looks really smooth. Not something you're gonna stop. Also, you gotta really appreciate a coach that has the players back. Okay, because RJ Bilal Koulibaly, RJ with a little bit of a shoulder bump, Bilal Koulibaly with a little bit of shove. The referee is right there to hand the double technical. And look at Darko Rajakovic in his running shoes. You know, you've never known a Serbian to duck the smoke, and you won't meet one there. All right. Jacoby had a really rough game. I'm going to say that 100%. He's not the only one. A lot of guys had rough games offensively, but he was all over the place, rushing everything short, jump shot not falling. This was a nice play for Jacoby. So the one positive play for Jacoby. I also think that it's worth noting the Raptors not a 5 play today. The Raptors not a 5 play today, and they won. So the Raptors are not only developing one winning team, they're developing two winning teams. Jameson Battle went off. Jonathan Mobo was competent. I was trying to watch both games at once. That was kind of fun. Overall takeaways, the Raptors have Chicago next. All of this winning won't mean a hell of a lot if the teams ahead of you keep winning. You do need other teams to lose. That's what happens. If Philly and Chicago and Atlanta go on crazy runs right now, if Miami goes on a crazy run right now, you're going to be stuck trying to catch Orlando. Like, that's not happening. Okay. I just want to show you what's up with that because, again, what happens in the league every night now impacts your future, right? You're not just playing one on one against yourself. Like it does matter tonight, for instance, that Chicago lost. That matters. Okay. It definitely matters. It matters that Detroit lost because among the two teams, Indiana and Detroit, who are you more likely to catch? Probably Detroit. Brooklyn and Charlotte. Yeah, I guess that matters too because Brooklyn is right there neck and neck with you. And Charlotte, sorry to say, you're probably not catching Charlotte. So, you take a team like, I don't know, New Orleans losing tonight to Dallas. Okay, there's another one, right? They lose one, you win one. On the same night they lose, you win. So I don't know if you're following the tankathon of it or if you're following the winning of it. But what I do know is that the Raptors do have really, really big decisions to make about their future very soon. Very soon. To just show this here, the Wizards have lost 15 straight. They are the worst team in the league. The Raptors, on the other hand, have won 6 straight. They are the hottest team in the league. I know when you looked at the opening night line for today's game, you didn't think that you were watching the hottest team in the league versus the coldest team in the league, but that's exactly what tonight was. The Raptors went into the building as the hottest team in the league, and look at the teams around you. Atlanta has lost 6 straight, and they have just lost Jalen Johnson for the year. Are they about to tear it down? That's going to be one more team heading for the bottom. And that's a team that has a huge gap on you right now. Huge gap, right? If you want to look at this from a mathematics perspective, you are 2 wins or two Portland losses and no wins for you. Sorry, three. So, yeah, you're 3 games behind or ahead of Portland, right? And you're 4.5 games ahead of Charlotte. Sorry, Chicago. So, if on Friday you beat Chicago, that 4.5 immediately turns into 3.5. And now we're getting close, right? It's also worth noting, I think Philadelphia won tonight. Am I mistaken on that? I think Philadelphia won tonight. So wait a second. Am I crazy? Philly won tonight, right? Yeah, Philadelphia beat Sacramento tonight. So there you go. Like Philly beat Sacramento somehow by some divine miracle. And, there's one more team that you have to catch that just keeps progressing up and up and up. And of course, the schedule is easier for the Raptors the rest of the way. But once you get done with the Wizards and the Portlands and the New Orleans, I mean, you're going to be facing some decent teams down the stretch. You are going to have several games left against teams like New York, right? You have a bunch of those. I mean, to take a look at the strength of schedule, hold on 1 second. Strength of schedule NBA. To take a look at this, the Raptors do have the easiest strength of schedule. They have 3 more games left against the Wizards. They just played one tonight, two against the Jazz, two against the Charlotte Hornets, two against the Nets, three against the Sixers, which are like do or die, must win games now, and two against the Portland Trailblazers, which I mean, don't even count those. Don't for sure count those. The Portland Trailblazers just beat the Denver Nuggets. No, the Milwaukee Bucks last night. So I mean, this is kind of where we're at right now with the Raptors, right? It's like whether you're rooting for the play-in or you're rooting for ping pong balls, you are highly dependent on other teams to help you out. It would be really helpful right now. It'd be really helpful if New Orleans won 5 straight, or Utah won 5 straight, or Washington came from the depths of basketball hell and won 6 straight. That would be very helpful. And what the Raptors have done effectively is they have helped someone climb them, Utah, New Orleans, etc., Charlotte, teams that were behind them just last week. And they are also nipping at the heels of teams like Philly, Chicago, Atlanta, that are trying to desperately hold on to their play-in spot. I think the trade deadline will naturally show what teams' intentions are. You'll see certain teams that are maybe play-in bound right now that'll look to sell. They'll look to bottom out because they are not stupid and they understand what's at stake. And then you're going to see certain teams that are going to look to buy to reinforce what they're trying to do. You have teams like Miami that basically have been playing without Jimmy Butler. Whatever they get for Jimmy Butler will be an upgrade over nothing. And I'm assuming that the distraction just clearing up, maybe that team gears up for a huge run. At some point, you're very, very much dependent on other teams. And for the Raptors, it does matter. If you do go to the play-in, who are you playing in the opening round? You certainly don't want to do all of this for one game. No, you wanna have a chance in that one game, and then hopefully you wanna advance and go to the next game. At the very least, let's see 2. I do think that when I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, a guilty pleasure of mine, I don't agree with 95% of what he says, but sometimes I do listen to it. I was listening to him talk about why the Houston Rockets don't wanna make a trade this season because they really wanna see who they have in the playoffs. Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, the potentially, soon to be re-signed Fred VanVleet. You want to see what this looks like. Reed Shepard, maybe. Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason. These are not players who've ever been to the playoffs. What if you have a real playoff riser here? What if you have a playoff bust? I think it's worth noting who players are when they get really pushed and scouted. The playoffs are the great exposer. They expose all of your weaknesses and all of your strengths. When you get into the half court setting, the fact that you can't shoot will be magnified. The fact that you can't go left, the fact that you can't defend, the fact that you have certain weaknesses on offense and defense are going to get scouted to hell because all of these coaching staffs have weeks to prepare for you and they have days and days between games to actually, dissect your game and figure you out and figure out who you are. I think certain players are going to get really exposed in the playoffs. So, If you're the Toronto Raptors internally, you're like, maybe do we do want to see what Scottie Barnes looks like in the playoffs as a first option. Maybe that would really help us from a team building perspective as we try to sell ourselves on this idea that he can be a 1A in the playoffs. Wouldn't it be nice to see it? I mean, certainly, I think the Orlando Magic feel a lot more comfortable building around Paolo Banchero after what they saw from him in the playoffs last year. So I think all of this is all very relevant to the Raptors' overall team building strategy. But I think what I'm trying to impose here or impress upon you is just how much the rest of the league has to not agree with. What's the word I'm looking for? The rest of the league basically has to cooperate. That's the word. Cooperate. The rest of the league has to cooperate with the Raptors, you know? So you can't have like some crazy injury, right? To the Raptors last second. So you not only have to sustain this level of defense, but you also have to hope that the rest of the league cooperates. So what am I trying to say here? I saw a team tonight go out and blow out the Washington Wizards, lead by as much as 29. And I got to say, I'm not impressed. This is going to come as a gut punch to some of you who are expecting me to say that we're going to win a championship this year, but I did not find myself very impressed with the offensive process. I found RJ Barrett dove into double teams and triple teams far too often. I found Bruce Brown sort of holding on to the basketball and missing very easy opportunities that I know that he sees, but probably sees an opportunity to stat pad a little bit against the losing team. I see glaring limitations with a player like Davion Mitchell or Davion Mitchell, as Doug Smith likes to call him. And I see plenty of issues when I really dissect the games of various players on this team. But one of the main things that I'm noticing, and this is something that came up on the panel the other day, was just how much shooting bigs or bigs who can actually space the floor are valuable. And I can't think of one player in the league that I know of that could benefit more from a big who can shoot than Scottie Barnes. So here you have a player like Jakob Pertl, who is very vital component to what you're doing. And you have Chris Boucher, who is not signed up long term. And you have Bruce Brown, who's not signed up long term. And they're kind of creating this ensemble of defenders around Scotty that's just like with his greatness defensively, it's just enough, with with Davion's pressure, with RJ participating, Ochai doing crazy, stuff at the rim today, just, in general being a pest defensively. He's not a great defender, but he's a sufficient defender and a massive upgrade over Grady Dick. So when you see this team competing this way defensively and basically winning games defensively, you're also seeing a team that is going up against a bottom five defense in the league and is, apart from Scotty Barnes, sometimes struggling to generate half court offense. And so you do hear like the Brandon Ingram chatter, and you're like, man, Brandon Ingram would have no issue scoring against this defense. Like he could score on this defense in his sleep. There's a lack of talent on this team. I don't think it's all that encouraging what I saw from Jacoby today. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm a big Jacoby fan. I remain very bullish on him long term. But seeing him as less of a this is a guy who's going to come in next year and be a really good rotation player, as opposed to maybe this is a guy who's going to take a couple years, makes me pause even further on what is exactly the Raptors timeline right now. Because again, if you're the Toronto Raptors internally, you can certainly sell yourself on our timeline is now or our timeline is next year. But maybe your timeline isn't next year. What if what you're doing right now is actually what you're supposed to be doing next year? And what you're doing right now, what you should be doing right now, is bottoming out because Cooper Flag has been on a friggin' heater and VJ Edgecombe is really turning a corner. And I'm seeing 5 to 6 players in this draft that are so clearly talented that it's just like with Masai, right? Masai's such a great scout, so you want him to have high picks. Well, Darko and his staff are so great at developing. Don't you want them to have blue chip prospects? The only thing that's certain with Masai Ujiri is nothing is for certain. But I will say that I think that wins like this can be great gut check moments to see where your team is at mentally. And I think this team is really bought in mentally and they're really together and they have been together all year. But it's nice to see that they stayed together despite all the losing that they did. But I think games like this also expose you when you struggle in the half court and you're getting blocked at the rim and you're struggling to gain separation if you're Davion Mitchell, RJ Barrett, guys like this, against such a piss poor defense, which is basically just full of Jonas Valanciunas and rookies. Without Alex Sarr tonight, there really wasn't a lot of rim protection there. If you're still sort of turning the ball over and having these struggles, like I really do wonder about what your high end upside is here. The Raptors right now are outworking people. This is a recipe for burnout. There's a lot of teams that are kind of coasting right now, and you're going out with this pressure style defense and you're really knocking people out. And it's amazing how it's working. And the fact that it's working is a testament to the fact that players are getting better. They are getting better. They're being taught. But what will you do against this type of defense? The type of defense you're playing right now, when the Boston Celtics lock down on you in the first round, what are you going to do? Who are you going to go to for sufficient half court offense? Trust me, it ain't Bruce Brown and Jakob Pertl pick and roll because they eat that shit. They eat that shit for breakfast. So it's just really difficult for me to buy into the long term talent of this team. I could have bought into some, you know, variation or version of Emmanuel Quickley and Scottie Barnes taking this mammoth leap. But I'm not generally someone who gets swung by wins. If you followed this channel, when the Raptors went on that huge, huge winning surge in 2023 with, Fred and Jakob, I'm like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. This works in the regular season against Charlotte. It doesn't work against a team that's dialed in. This type of pressure that the Raptors are applying, this will work until it won't. You know, it's a great teaching tool, but it's a gimmick, right? Now, you don't have the personnel to play this way. The OKC Thunder can play this way. They can pressure you all day because they have the type of length and rim protection. You don't. You have people that are just playing above their heads right now, and it is resulting in a lot of winning. And it is a sign of improvement. So please understand, I'm not shitting on it. I'm telling you 100%. These players are getting better. This defense is getting better. Players are getting better at containing the basketball. Players are getting better at reading their rotations. Players are getting more disciplined in transition. All of this being said, when you face a team as dialed in as you're going to get blown out. So it's hard to understand completely where I am emotionally on this. Am I happy they're winning? Am I sad they're winning? No, I'm not sad or happy they're winning. I'm observing. I'm observing who these players are, and I'm making notes. I'm making notes for the offseason. I'm making notes for the trade deadline, figuring out, who these players are. I'm firmly on the trade Bruce Brown now camp right now. I'm gonna be honest, like 100%. I know, I know what hunting for a contract and being in a contract here looks like. No shade to Bruce Brown and guys like this, but they are facing the harsh economics of the NBA. This is a dude who took a 2-year deal for $45 million to play with the Indiana Pacers and was genuinely surprised when they traded him. No, you were literally signed to be traded, and you were signed to be traded because you had that crazy team option on the second year, which the Raptors inexplicably picked up, and now are trying to extract maybe a couple second round picks. I really wouldn't mind buying him out after, the trade deadline if he hasn't been moved. But ideally, right now, with the way he's playing and how much he's contributing, I really would want at least a couple of seconds for him. I think if Dennis Schroeder can command 3 seconds, I think someone brought this up in the comments in the last video. If Dennis Schroeder can command 3 seconds, why can't Bruce Brown command two? I think the difference is Dennis Schroeder's on a mid-level exception and Bruce Brown makes $23 million. Just a little bit harder to sign him. I would think about a trade machine episode maybe tomorrow as we navigate life without live streams. Again, to those of you who don't know, I played a Scottie Barnes NBA TV video and YouTube was not too pleased with me and have since removed our live streaming capabilities for the next little bit. It could be 5 days, it could be 4 days. I don't know how long it's going to take to lift. I really hope it's not longer, but we'll deal with it as it goes. Someone suggested streaming on Twitch. I've never opened a Twitch account. Would y'all encourage going on Twitch? I have no idea how to monetize it. I don't know. I'm very busy with pen dance. I do want to share something very cool with you guys, which is that I am doing 30 days of sugar-free, alcohol-free, smoke-free. So this is 30 days of nothing bad going in my body. Okay. And I'm just trying to prepare myself for Penn Dance. Obviously, Penn Dance is a very stressful time building up to the event. There's a lot of moving parts. And most of the time, the last 7 years, I've found that I end up overindulging in sweets or stress smoking or, you know, drinking or something just to sort of numb out or maybe over caffeinating myself. I just don't make good decisions because I'm so tired. And I think when we're tired, we make bad decisions. So eliminating sugar has been really a life changer in 2020, 2019 when I did it. And I just found myself like my brain was regenerating on on autopilot. So, no, not on super pilot. See, this is why you need to quit sugar because my brain hasn't been working properly. I want to say I don't think my brain's been working properly or very well for the last couple of weeks. And I've been noticing that sort of fog. You know what I mean? That sort of fog that comes. And I'm not super old. So I'm like, why is my head so foggy? Struggling with my words sometimes, struggling to even writing. I mean, I've been writing my whole life, and sometimes I just find myself. So part of it is, of course, I'm not sleeping enough, but part of it, I'm convinced, is my diet. So i- last year, we created the fourth quarter gang challenge in which we meet our new year as the best version of ourselves or a version of ourselves or pursue something going into the new year so we can meet the new year as ourselves. I will extend the same offer to the fourth quarter gang. To those of you who did it last time, try a month. So starting February 1st, try a month sugar free with me and let's see how our lives change for the better. I think sugar is in everything. I think it's horrible for you. I know it's horrible for me. And yet there I am, piling Nutella and eating ice cream and, you know, it's in everything. It's so addictive. It's so bad for you. And it really does have a long term impact on your skin, on your brain, on your nails. It has an impact on everything in your heart, everything. So your life would be a lot better if you cut out sugar or at least dropped it significantly. Let me know in the comments if you want to join me on this little journey of no sugar for a month. And hopefully, the version of me that shows up to Pendance on February 27th, little plug for Pendance there, will be the best version you've seen of me yet. I will be looking to take some of this time away from the extensive live streams because obviously these videos that I'm going to be posting are a little bit shorter than the live streams and it's going to free up some time. So I'm going to be looking at using that time wisely and really making sure that this year's Pendance is the best Pendance ever. We have sports documentaries, we have great narrative fiction, we have an animated shorts block, we have 10 features, we have 60 plus short films, and we have over 40 filmmakers attending. We're going to have parties. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. This is what I work for all year, and I look forward to it every single year. And last year was great to see so many Penn Dance community, Pensar basketball community members come out. So hopefully some of y'all will be able to show up again this year. There's a basketball documentary. There's a hockey documentary. There's some sports stuff for y'all. Let me know, if that's something you're interested in. Maybe if you have a financial need or something, maybe you can hook you up with a couple. Yeah. Overall, looking forward to the game against Chicago. I hope that this team does not become too complacent. And be honest, like it's easy to become a little bit complacent when you win five straight. But Chicago is going to be a drastic step up in terms of competition level. And I don't know what Chicago's doing right now. It's really hard for me to say. Are they trying to win? They're always a little bit confusing, but that is a talented team. They do have a guy who can probably go off for 45, 50 points on you on any given night. So it will help that the Raptors are much, much better defensively. I hope Grady gets well soon. He was selected to the Rising Stars Challenge, so salute to Grady for that. A little bit disappointed to see that there weren't more Raptors on there, but I understand the numbers aren't super high for Jacoby or Jonathan Mobo, etc. But I really felt earlier in the year when Jonathan Mobile was getting consistent minutes that I would have been like he should have been first team all rookie or second team all rookie for me. Perhaps an indictment of how terrible this class has been, but I really thought he was balling out. Now he's balling out for the 905. I'm sure that once the trade deadline rolls around and the Raptors trade some of their veterans, some of these guys for the 905 are going to get full run with the main club, but maybe they won't. We'll see. I will hope that the live streaming privileges will be back for the trade deadline, but if they're not, I'm sure we'll find a way. We'll post videos every hour or something. I don't know. We'll do our best. Anyways, thanks for putting up with my sore throat. Thanks for putting up with this disruption to your regularly, streaming live content. And, go Raptors. The Raptors have, after Chicago, the schedule does get a lot tougher going into the trade deadline. And then, of course, after the trade deadline, it's brutal. But I think that it's worth noting, like the last month of the season, it's like 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, 7 game win streaks. They are all possible. So, if the Raptors decide to pull the plug at the trade deadline, I will not complain at all. In fact, I'll commend them for doing the right thing. But if they don't, I'm also not going to complain too much. I'm not going to complain too much. You know, it's fine. You're a young team. You want to show these young players some support, and who knows, you might just learn something or two about these players down the stretch as you try to compete for the play-in. I'll talk to y'all later. Make sure to hit like and subscribe on this video. Have a good one. Have a good night. Bye.